this is pretty shocking. I was able to find some old records showing how Monsanto, the GMO company, the GMO seed company that was accused of using an herbicide, Roundup, and hiding the fact that the herbicide that it was using had health problems, was actually investigating, targeting, and spying on journalists who would call out their corrupt practices and what they were doing behind the scenes. So this is pretty shocking. For those who don't know, Roundup here is the weed and grass killer. And also Roundup as a company, they have a lot of other herbicides as well, or pesticides. And I was able to find this document here, and it showed just how far Monsanto went to cover up and to investigate on journalists that ended up criticizing them. So the document shows how they actually targeted one individual who wrote a book on Monsanto and what they were doing and the herbicides they were using, and they put a point for point plan, this company, on how they're going to target her, defame her, destroy her book, put out fake hit pieces about her, and make sure they show up on the first page of Google for anybody that searches the book. The corporation is going to make sure to be there and writing hit pieces and smear campaigns about her to discredit all of her work. So there was an entire plan about when the book was going to be released, the date of of what to do prior, what needs to be done, and how to go about it, who is going to be included in the plan. And on it, it says book release date, pre-orders. They plan to issue an alert once the book was going to be put out, respond to media inquiries. And they talked about how they wanted to actually show up on the first page of Google, call communications team, and talk about how to engage with external third parties. So it's a really, really detailed document about just how far they were willing to go to basically cover up the fact that they were using pesticides that had negative health effects. The article that was posted on The Guardian, this was back 6 years ago now, posted in August of 2019, revealed how Monsanto's intelligence center targeted journalists and activists. It operated a, quote, fusion center to monitor and discredit journalists, activists, and targeted a reporter who wrote a book critical about the company. Documents revealed the agrochemical corporation also investigated the singer Neil Young and wrote an internal memo on his social media activity and music. The records reviewed by The Guardian show Monsanto adopted a multi-pronged strategy to target Carrie Gilliam, the Reuters journalist who investigated the company's weed killer and its links to cancer. Monsanto now owned the German pharmaceutical corporation. Bayer also monitored a not-for-profit food research organization through its Intelligence Fusion Center, a term that the FBI and law enforcement agencies use for operations focused on surveillance and terrorism. So this is now, time and time again, what we're starting to see is these corporations are truly just acting like Israeli intelligence at this point. They are using spying, they're hiring out firms, they're conducting espionage, they're trying to get compromising material, they're trying to discredit journalists. Where have we heard the same exact thing? Well, we actually hear it all the time when it comes to Israel. We'll see Israeli bots target journalists. You know, tons of my videos get reported all the time. It's the same thing with these big organizations. There was a case actually where McDonald's did the exact same thing. There's been lawsuits with a lot of other companies where they'll actually go ahead, target, smear, and destroy journalists. There's actually lobbyists. Actually, I'm going to make a whole separate video on this. There's lobbyists working in Washington, D.C., lawyers and lobbyists that are paid tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, not only to smear, but to find compromising information on advocacy groups that go against the corporations that they're representing, and will figure out a way to basically destroy them in the media, to destroy their moral credibility, as they call it, and to completely just smear and defame them so that way they no longer pose a threat to the profits of the company. And this is, of course, what we're seeing here. So Monsanto paid Google to promote search results for its for the journalist's book that criticized her work. The PR staff also internally discussed placing sustained pressure on Reuters, saying they would continue to push back on editors very strongly every chance we get, and they were hoping she would get resigned. Monsanto's Fusion Center officials wrote a lengthy report about singer Neil Young's advocacy, monitoring his impact on social media, and at one point considered legal action. The Fusion Center also monitored many different advocacy groups, a not-for-profit, producing weekly reports on the organization's online activity. The internal communications add fuel to the ongoing claims in court that Monsanto had bullied critics and scientists who work to conceal the dangers of glyphosate, the world's most widely used herbicide. So it goes on, and here's the actual lady who wrote the book that was eventually targeted, the first cancer patient to beat Monsanto in court. This was back in 2018. And yeah, so it's just truly absolutely shocking to see how far these organizations will go to defame individuals that speak out against them, what they're up to. There's another document as well, and not only actually did they go about defaming individuals that would call them out, but Monsanto actually uploaded and published fake research that made it seem like the pesticides that they were using were not actually as deadly and did not have the actual negative health consequences that they did. This was an article posted actually just this year in 2025, a scientific study that regulators around the world relied on for decades to justify continued use of Roundup was quietly retracted last Friday. This was published literally just a month ago over serious ethical issues, including secret authorship by Monsanto employees, raising questions about the pesticides approval process in the United States and globally. So the April 2000 study, which concluded glyphosate does not pose health risks to humans at typical exposure levels, was ghostwritten by Monsanto employees and was based solely on unpublished studies from the company. It also ignored multiple long-term chronic toxicity and carcinogenicity studies that were available at the time. So not only were they going about shutting down critics that were calling out the company, the fact that they were using a pesticide that causes cancer, but on top of that, they were actually putting out fake research reports that then scientists were using in their research and in their journals and in their literature and publishing that and disseminating that information out to the public. That's absolutely crazy. This is not the first time we see where we have mega corporations that are actually putting together research reports based on fake science and then publishing those reports in order to continue using a product, to continue using an ingredient in their products that they want to offer, even though they know that the ingredient that they're using has negative health effects on humans or the environment or anything else. So the article goes on and it says some of the study's authors may have also received undisclosed financial compensation from the company. Because of these problems, the editors lost confidence in the results in the conclusion of the article. So it took 25 years, literally 25 years, almost 26. It was the end of 2025 for them to redact an article that was published for 25 years that the company was using to make profits on information while they knew that the Roundup, a pesticide they were using, could cause cancer. And they put this article out and disseminated it out to the public and didn't decide to actually pull it for almost 26 years. So pretty shocking stuff, guys. That's really it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you want to support my channel, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up as well. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.